G'day, welcome back to another video. In this video we'll be building the chassis for this Tamiya VQS 2020. Now I know it's been about a week since my last video, but I've been kind of busy. I actually started using oil paints for the first time, which takes a long time. There we go. It looks a bit like a zombie, but we're getting there. So, whoops. Yeah, so I just use this quick and cheap setup using these Newton and Western paints, but I think they're actually Chinese rip-offs. Whatever. So of course I've been watching a few videos on YouTube and stuff, watching people painting their action figures and whatever. Yeah, there's a fine art to it, and that's what our body looks like so far. So I just see the odd picture popping up on Facebook and whatever, people painting their drivers with oil paints, and yeah, it looks awesome. So I thought I'd give it a crack. I do know some of them, they may spend a month or more painting it. I'm not doing that. So far I've done that one in an afternoon. It kind of looks that way too. Anyway, yeah, I don't want it to take any more than a couple of days. And it does take a couple of days for the paint to dry, so it's a bit of it's an advantage and a disadvantage. The advantage is you can play with it and move it around, but yeah, the drying time sucks. Anyway, we'll get into the build. Alrighty, so we got the VQS all unboxed there, got all the parts laid out, and I'll put the bags in separate tubs with the A, B, C, D on the front. So on to step one, we get to put the motor plate on. And there he is, just a few screws, too easy. Now we're onto the motor. Got a bit of a decision to make. Will I use the super stock TZ motor or the super stock RZ? I think I'll go with the RZ. Why, I hear you ask? Because it's going to match the red stickers on the car. Now the super stock RZ motor's all installed, looking very sexy. And we can get on to putting some gears in. So in step 4 we start with the rear diff. That's all pretty simple, and then move on to the counter gear and stuff, and the output shaft, or propeller joint. Now in step 7, when you're building the center diff, you got to be real careful of these washers. Make sure they're all installed the right way. Basically they act like a spring. Of course they won't do that if they're not put in the right way. And as you can see here, I've got the center diff in, and the diff gear and counter gear, just waiting on the bevel gear. Now moving on to the bevel gears. As you can see, I need these little 830 bearings to replace these plastic bushers. I didn't have them, and on the front bevel gear I didn't have the little 620 bearings, even smaller, for the front bevel gear. So I had to go and order them.
3 days later.
And there we go, there's our bearings from Plague Bearings. Super fast shipping, even in these lockdown times. And that's how they look in comparison with their plastic bushing counterparts. Now while I waited for the bearings to arrive, I got onto the steering links and tie rods and things like that, and the rear arms, then the G11 part with the stabiliser on, also the steering and the gearbox cover there. Then I assembled all 4 CVDs and assembled the rear hubs and the front hubs, and then assembled all the CVA shocks. Alrighty, now the whole rear end's all assembled, got the shocks on and the bumper and everything. Now we can get onto the front gearbox. So I've got the bevel gear in there, using the little 620 bearings. Now it's time to put the front arms on, so I'll show you this little tool. It's going to be handy for the E-rings, little dynamite E-ring tool. Yeah, these cost about 25 bucks. Probably a little bit easier than using pointy pliers most of the time. Anyway, you got all your sizes up from 1.5mm up to 5mm. In this case we'll be using a 2mm. So there's our little link pin there. That's the one we'll be doing. I've already done the others. So it's pretty simple, you just put the E-ring in the end of the tool. And of course this one doesn't want to play nice because it's on camera. Now I can grab the front end. Then we just line it up with the slot and push it on. I'll give it a bit of a wiggle. Again, it doesn't want to play nice being on camera. And I find the bigger E-rings are better. The smaller they are, the harder they are of course. But yeah, big ones are easy as. It's just some different options. Alrighty, got the front end all assembled there. Went together really nicely, nice and smooth. Got to be happy with that. And I've mounted the front end up onto the chassis there, and now it's starting to look like a real buggy. So now I can get on to fitting the electrics, but first I'll show you what electrics I'll be using in it. Alrighty, so the electronics I'll be using is the trusty old Vitaba R202 GF receiver. They work quite well, and yeah, pretty compatible with like the T2HR transmitter, and my favourite, the 4PX, magnificent. So yeah, I can use whatever transmitter if I want, sticks or the wheel, whatever. And for the servo, using a Power HD 3001 HB. So I'll crack that open, have a bit of a look. Pretty standard servo. If I can get it out. Comes with all your bits, of course. So yeah, that's him. I've been using these in my builds for quite a while, and yeah, they do the job. They're reliable. Got to be happy with that. And of course, I'm using the standard TB-LE O2S speed controller that came with the kit. But I did put a Dean's connector on it, like I always do, because those Tamiya plugs are just crap. Alrighty, I'll get this all installed, and we'll have a look from there. Now, getting onto the electrics, there's a couple of mistakes. So Tamiya provide this spare piece of paper to correct it. Now, the first mistake is this little ball connector in step 45 on the front of the servo saver. It should be in the center of the servo saver, not on the left side, and it should be installed from the rear instead of the front. And the second issue in step 49 is this steering rod. The space between the ball connectors should be 64.5 millimeters, not 61.5. Then it was time to fit the electrics. Now that the radio's in, the only thing left is to tidy up the wiring. And there we go, it's all tidied up. So I've sort of done my best to keep it away from the prop shaft and things like that. And on the motor side, you can tuck the motor wires in beside the steering servo. It's all good. I think it came up pretty neat. So that's him. Got the wheels on him now and the tyres. Looking pretty sexy, I think. Very nice. Bit of torque in that RZ motor. So in the next video, I'll get onto that driver, get him all painted up, or finish it at least, and we've got the body and decals to go, and then hopefully we can get it out for a run, depending on these lockdowns. But maybe I'll give it a quick run in the front yard. If I do that, I'll probably change the wheels to something, you know, because it'll just, on the concrete, it'll just wear them out real quick. So maybe we'll get it out and have a bit of a blast, see how it goes. But yeah, pretty happy with it so far. I actually like the simplicity over the Avanti, and the battery door much better. Yeah, the Avanti, you got to pull the link off there and take the body off and unclip this and that. Too hard. Anyway, well, that's about it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. And yeah, if you're new here, subscribe, that'd be great. If you liked the video, give it a thumb up, that'd be awesome. And catch you later.